Hello everybody, welcome back to another video, and today we're going to be talking about the theory of rich dad and poor dad. I think it's a really interesting topic. I just watched a video about how having a rich parent really affect how you think about life. Specifically, I mean, like my point is, if your parents are rich, you're gonna also be rich, and there's nothing you can do about that. That's kind of been a thing for a while. And I think a lot of people know about that kind of stuff, but I feel like the reasoning is really interesting because a lot of people think that, like, oh, just because, oh, your parents are rich because you're rich because your parents are rich, right? Like, of course, that makes sense. But there's also other factor why they are rich. The reason why some people are rich is not because of their wealth, or because of their, like, asset, or of their money. It's also because how they act about some certain circumstances. Like, for example, right? If it were, if there were a meeting, right? A meeting in the town hall. A rich person, or the son who came from a rich parent, will thought about making connection. On the other hand, poor people will try to be more submissive and try to be more, how do I say? It's trying to be more. Yeah, submissive is a great detail. It's a great way to describe someone trying to become obedient, right? Because if that poor person trying to have that idea of trying to make connection, in the end of the day, he's gonna get exploited by others, and there's nothing he can do, right? It's not really, it's not incentivize for him to make connection that is good for him. He wants to make all connection by trying to glaze them, basically. Anyway, it's an interesting topic, but anyway, I've been thinking about it because tomorrow is gonna be my exam, and I don't really want to study. So basically, I'm trying to make an excuse to say that I'm a knowledgeable person, is that, and plus I'm rich, kind of. I have a wealthy parent, but I think that having that knowledge or just awareness of that kind of stuff is really important, because if I'm just, I think success really comes from changes, right? I think change. I think uh, success doesn't really come only from wealth, but also come from you willing to change. Now, the question is, what is success, right? A lot of people often say that success comes from money, which I used to think, right? I thought that money is the reason why you succeed. Let me answer that question. Let me tell you something. It's not. Success really come from your ability. Your capability to be aware of the internal and external factor, right? For example, imagine this, right? If there were, let's say we're playing Dark Soul, or we're playing Elden Ring, right? In every type of soul game, there's a stat that you need to focus on. Like, there's the physical attack, dexterity, HP, defense, and insight, right? Success is basically having them to be even, stable, and to have them to be around average or above average than any other people, right? Now, what do I mean by that, right? Like, if you guys, let's say you guys were poor, right, and you focus on making strength I don't know, let's imagine this. The thing that I just mentioned, right? Like this physical attack, this dexterity, HP, blah blah blah. Imagine that if that were money. Imagine if that were connection, your communication skill, your charisma, other stuff again. There is also physical, right? Your physique, your mental health. If your mental health, your communication skill, or all of it were bad, right? A lot of player will focus on one thing first that really affect the whole way you want to play, right? You focus on one thing, and then once you hit some certain point, you focus on other stuff. That's how poor player play, right? That's why I mentioned, like, if we were a poor player, if a poor kid were trying to make connection, he will try to be obedient instead of picking or choosing someone who's way better than them. My point is basically right. I think in the end of the day, right? If I were to fail the exam, I won't. I won't fail the exam because in the end of the day, I'm gonna graduate anyway after the exam. It only affect my certificate for a job application, which is also kind of bad. But like, do I really care in this era? Because we're in an era where it's a digital era where to be successful, you kind of need to be, how do I say it? You need to put yourself out there. You need to market yourself to be successful. We're now in a game where we can be independent because of the technology where we have phone, where we have laptop, is accessible. We can get information and we can learn stuff through just our little devices, right? It's easy for us to learn and study and just to understand on how the market, the workplace, even, I mean, right now, if we're talking about job, right, or the workplaces, I don't think it's worth it to. I mean, it's worth it to get a job, but my point is, I don't think it's worth it to live our life in survival world, in a life where we're trying to survive instead of trying to live, right? Of course, that makes sense. What am I trying to make? What my point? What's my point? My point is, right. When it comes to having a job or to be successful, is to put yourself out there. You need to put yourself out there. You need to let people know what you're capable of. You need to know what you're capable of. So yeah, you need to know what your assets, what your liability, your expenses, your what's the opposite of expense? I forgot. Your profit, right? You need to take your life as a business. You don't need to start a business. Your life is your business, right? Anyway, I don't know what my point is. Like, my point is, in the end of the day, if I failed my exam, there's other stuff that I can do because of my wealth or because of my money. That kind of sound arrogant. I'm still gonna make it. I think. I don't know if I'm making an excuse, but like, I know that I'm gonna make it because I'm goated like that. That's so selfish. Oh my god, I hate myself. Anyway, no, I don't want to come up like that. I know. Even if I fail the exam, I'm gonna keep trying to improve myself, to become better, to be kinder, to become more stronger, and to keep moving on. Anyway, I don't know what I'm trying to talk about. I'm just trying to make an excuse to not study. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. See you guys in the next video. Goodbye.